AI, artificial intelligence. It has the power to transform healthcare, synthesizing complex medical data that the human cannot, enabling better patient outcomes and faster, more efficient medical procedures. What if I told you an artificial intelligent technology exists today that can help reduce the global burden of cardiac death, stroke, and dementia? For those who don't know, cardiac death is the leading cause of death in the world, accounting for more than 10% worldwide. Stroke is a leading cause of death and a leading cause of disability, and dementia is the leading cause of disability and dependency among adults worldwide. What's the common thread between these three maladies? Cardiac arrhythmias. Cardiac arrhythmias are key drivers for these three global health crises. We've been working on our artificial intelligence solution to better understand cardiac arrhythmias. And cardiac arrhythmias are simply when the heart beats too fast, too slow, abnormally, or irregularly. Our artificial intelligence uses novel proprietary algorithms and a vast database of clinical and synthetic data. We also wanted to utilize the most commonly used test in cardiology, the 12-lead ECG. The 12-lead ECG is simply the electrical recording of the heart's activity on the chest wall. It has global reach. It's universally used. And it's used around the world as a diagnostic test. Nonetheless, it's extremely difficult to understand a cardiac arrhythmia and the precise location of its source, whether from an ECG or any of the commonly used tools in cardiology. However, with just the patient's ECG and our artificial intelligence solution, which we call vMap, we're able to successfully and non-invasively understand the origins of a patient's arrhythmia. We're FDA cleared and we're available for use around the United States. In fact, our physicians have mapped more than 1,000 cases. And those cases, they add to our growing database of knowledge, which allows for further innovation and enhanced procedural outcomes. Speaking about patient outcomes, let's talk about two specific cases, the representative examples of the many cases we've done. On the left is a recurring AF case. A woman in her 70s sought help from vMap for her recurrent paroxysmal atrial fibrillation. 2 years earlier, she had stopped the standard of care, pulmonary vein isolation, or PVI, and her AF returned. But because of vMap, in a procedure, her physician was able to find drivers outside of the pulmonary veins, identify those drivers, ablate those drivers, and terminate her arrhythmia. Today, she remains arrhythmia-free. On the right is a case of complex ventricular tachycardia, one of the most dangerous arrhythmias. Ventricular tachycardia can be painstaking to understand the source of the arrhythmia's origin. Sometimes the procedures can be prolonged and not always result in termination of the arrhythmia. In this case, we were able to identify and terminate the patient's ventricular tachycardia from a single beat caught in the ECG. Our team is motivated by these patient outcomes. But we also understand that in changing medicine, we have to understand procedural efficiencies. I spoke earlier about the promise, the power of artificial intelligence in medicine. Today, Vektor Medical is doing that with its artificial intelligence solution. Today, we're improving patient outcomes and enhancing operational efficiency. But you don't have to take my word for it. This is our peer-reviewed, published study, multi-center, blinded, independently adjudicated, demonstrating the accuracy of vMap for 7 arrhythmia types, including atrial fibrillation. Here's our published outcome study for complex atrial fibrillation, showing an 80% improvement over the standard of care in 81 patients at 1-year follow-up. This is the results of our complex ventricular tachycardia study, showing a 60% improvement over the standard of care for 52 patients at 1-year follow-up. This is our third peer-reviewed published study, this time talking about procedural efficiencies. In this study, we demonstrated a near 25% reduction in procedure time, a 43% reduction in fluoroscopy, an important safety component for doctors and patients. And importantly for hospitals and their economics, we showed a near 20% improvement in procedural throughput. We were putting more patients in the lab every day. Finally, this is some of our newest work, showing the opportunity, the potential for improving cardiac resynchronization therapy. Our technology is poised to stay at the forefront of innovation. Every 3 or 4 months, we release a new update of our technology. Each update enhances our platform's capabilities. Each update improves the user experience and its functionalities, and we're particularly listening to user feedback. Here's an example. One of the most common comments from our physicians was, it would be extremely valuable to understand whether their ventricular tachycardia cases were epicardial or endocardial. What does that mean? Well, simply put, does my patient's VT come from the outside surface or the inner surface of the heart? Within 6 months, we were able to build this functionality into vMap. And with our over 90% success rate, we beat the best human studies by over 40%. We're dedicated to innovation, and we've been recognized as one of the most innovative companies in medtech. We're equally dedicated to protecting that innovation, and our international IP portfolio reflects that dedication. We're also working to bring vMap to the EU. And today, at LSI EU, I'm delighted to tell you that we have been diligently working with notified bodies and are optimistic about bringing vMap to the EU in early 2025. Our goal is to work with hospitals and physicians around Europe to help tackle the burden of cardiac death, stroke, and arrhythmia. My name's Rob Krummen. I'm the CEO of Vektor Medical, and if you're here this week, come talk to me about the power of AI to improve medicine and how vMap might help in your local hospital. Thank you so much.